Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time, and I'm here for another creamsicle recipe. I have several different recipes out there, and really there's not a whole lot that changes other than the fruit or other added ingredients I use in there, and I don't use measurements. So this is why I started a YouTube channel in the first place, was so I could show people how I do things. Since there's a lot of things I do, I don't use measurements, I just throw stuff together, and that's the way it always is with the creamsicles. So you can just see how I do stuff. But the other thing is, if I give you an exact recipe, it might not be good for you. So learning how to start small when you're adding things like sugar or whatever to what you're making, you got to taste it along the way and decide what's going to work for you. Because also the fruit that you use, like you might have a cantaloupe or a honeydew melon or a watermelon that's not as sweet as another one, so the amount of sugar you're going to add, if you choose to add sugar or any kind of sweetener, is going to vary depending on the fruit that you use. So today I'm going to use honeydew melon to make the creamsicles. So this can be for cantaloupe, watermelon, whatever it is you want to use. And I previously froze this, so this was one I got from Misfits Market, and it was a huge honeydew melon. It was in great shape. It was a beautiful melon. The only thing about it is that the flavor wasn't, it seems like it's just a little bit underripe. And so what I did before I froze this, because freezing these things first not only will preserve it until you're ready to make your creamsicles, it will also soften the things, yet keep them raw, so when you make the creamsicles, they'll still be in their raw form. And so it also makes them easy to blend up. And what I did, since the flavor wasn't super powerful, is I took a fresh lemon that I'd also got from Misfits Market, cut it in half, and squeezed the juice into this. And I didn't care if I got some of the lemon pulp in there as well to add some flavor. I didn't bother adding any kind of sweetener to it then, because I knew I'd add it when I go to make the creamsicles. So I'm guessing this is quite a bit. It'll probably make more than what my new stainless steel creamsicle popsicle maker will hold. So I did bring out one of my older ones. This is the Zoku. Now the Zoku ones, these are great. They've lasted me for years, but last year I did have one of the holders break on me, so I had to toss it. So one of these. I have two sets, and I've had them for quite a number of years, and it was the first time one broke. And I've been wanting to try the stainless steel for a long time anyway. There's more parts to it, so in some ways it's going to be more of a hassle to use, and it's definitely more expensive than the Zoku one. So we'll find out what I think about the stainless steel. Health-wise, all around, this is going to be better because it's going to get you away from plastic, but the Zoku is BPA free at least, and it is a great setup. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead. I don't know how much this is going to equal yet. I'm just going to dump it directly into the blender pitcher and see what we have here. And yes, I'm leaving all of the liquid in there. So this is going to make quite a bit. I'll go ahead and take a spoon and kind of push that down so I can get an idea. And then normally what I would do with something like this, and this is if you're going to make it a creamsicle, I would strain off the liquid and then add heavy cream to it. But today I'm going to try the heavy cream powder. Now if you're vegan or you just don't like creamsicles, you can just leave it like this and then add whatever flavoring, sweeteners, or whatever you want to that as is, and that will just make a popsicle. But Patrick really likes creamsicles, and so do I. I don't eat them very much, but when I do prefer the creamsicles. So what I'm going to do is, it looks here like I have about 4 total cups of fruit and the liquid. And when you use your heavy cream powder, on the instructions it's 3/8 of a cup of the powder to 1 cup of water. So I'm going to use 4 heaping scoops, because each scoop that I have, my scoops happen to be a 1/4 cup anyway, and so a heaping scoop should take it roughly to about 3/8 of a cup. And then I have a video I did on the heavy cream powder. This is after I'd been using it for a short period of time. Some of the things I've been using it for, and I'll go ahead and link to that down below if you're interested in it. I've been really happy with it. I'm always finding new uses. This will be the first time trying it for a creamsicle, but I think this will be a really good option. Now, as far as your sweetener amount and what kind of sweetener you're going to use, you have the option of using, if you're keto, you can do the monk fruit. I would recommend the monk fruit extract over any other type of sweetener, or that's not an actual sugar. Even though there's still not as much studies done on the monk fruit extract as there are other things, I still at this point believe this one's going to be your safest bet, even over stevia. Stevia has its issues, but all sweeteners, be they natural or artificial, if they're not a true sugar, they're going to have their own issues. And so I'll talk about that in a separate video at some point. But if you're diabetic or you're just keto, then you know, this could be a very healthy option for you. But we're neither one of those things, so I'm going to use regular sugar. You can also use maple syrup if you think it's going to go well with whatever fruit you're using, or raw honey is a really good option. I tend to stick with just organic cane sugar, and often will also use some coconut sugar. So I'm just going to be adding the sugar and tasting it as I blend it. So I'm going to start with about a half cup of the cane sugar. And then I'll add a little bit of coconut sugar, because I try to add the coconut sugar because of its health benefits. It's not as sweet as the cane sugar, but it will also change the color. So I try to go a little more sparing on that. And the flavor is a little bit different. I do like it quite a bit, but I like it better in some things than the others. And I have all kinds of homemade extracts. Today I'm just going to stick with the tried and true vanilla for this. When I do creamsicles, that's usually what I do. I just like to add that in for just a little extra flavor. Look how full my blender is. That's definitely going to more than fill that up, so it's a good thing I pulled out the other popsicle molds. Okay, so then I'm just going to process it in the blender until it's smooth, and I'll taste it and see if I need to add anything more to it. All right, that's perfect. So that was a good guess on the sugars. Some of you may like it just a little less sweet, so you might want to start off with less sugar than that. But again, it's going to depend on the sweetness of the fruit when you go to put it in. And this honeydew melon wasn't super sweet like some are. So I got the right amount for how unsweet this melon was. And the heavy cream powder is really good in there. I was a little nervous about using it because I've never tried it in this, but it tastes really good. And of course it's going to have a slightly different flavor than your fresh heavy cream, but it's still quite delicious in this. And then the addition of the vanilla extract was perfect. And I didn't say, I probably put in about a tablespoon of that, but again, it's all a matter of taste. Then just make sure whichever molds you use, you have them ready to go. And just simply start filling your molds. Now, I don't know if these ones actually have a fill line, but I find with anything like this, I try to get it, even though it's, you want to leave a little bit of head space, because it will expand in the molds. Like that one, there's probably a little too full, but I would rather have it expand and kind of push up a little bit rather than be under full, because you want to make sure you got a good hold on those popsicle sticks as well. These are bamboo. I dripped on this one. And again, this is my first time using these particular ones. I'm just guessing how far to stick these into the lid, but I do recommend putting the sticks into the top before you put it in the mold. Don't put the top on and then put the sticks in, because it's best if you hold this little gasket with both fingers on either side and then carefully push that through. Otherwise, you might push that rubber gasket or silicone gasket. So I'm going to try it at about the halfway mark and stick that in there, and we'll see how that works, and then I'll fill up the rest of those. So I made sure the sticks were all ready to go. Now, these sticks should be washable and reusable. All right, so let's go ahead and fill up the Zoku ones. At least this way you can see both styles. And I'll go ahead and put a link to both of these. I'm actually not positive these Zoku ones this particular style is still available. They have all kinds of shapes and stuff that kids would like. I just liked this very simple, basic design, very smooth. It's just been perfect for what we needed it for. These do come apart too. So when you go to clean them, it's best to take them apart so you can clean in all these little creases, and they just snap it back together. And there we go. And then if you have any extra, you can always just pour it into a cup and either just enjoy it fresh because it's really good just as a smoothie, or you can freeze in these. So that is the other option. I often have used little glasses like this to freeze in, and the nice thing about this is once you have it frozen, especially if you fill it up to about here, don't put a lid on it until it's fully froze, but then you can put a lid on it to keep it from getting freezer burnt or anything, and then you just pull it out when you're ready. Take the lid off, let it thaw a little bit so you can kind of mash it up with your spoon, and then you just eat it with a spoon. So I've done that many times. I think I have a recipe out there, in fact, where I show just using the jars. So if you do not want to invest in popsicle molds, but you still like the idea of a frozen treat, using little mason jars like this is the 1/2 pint. These are really the perfect size for such a thing. And then the other option is these heavy recycled glasses. I love these things. So I bought them several years ago locally, and I know that they sell these ones online. They have different designs on them, but they're the same glass. They make a pitcher to go with it too. And these work good for freezing in. For these, you'd want to use one of those iced tea spoons. That would be your spoon like this, where it's like the size of a regular teaspoon, but it has the longer handle, so it's, you know, made easier for mixing, and it's a lot easier for when you're eating a frozen treat out of something like this. So again, if you use glass, just make sure you pull it out in time, let it thaw a little bit. And then if you're using it out of the molds, I don't remember if I said it takes about 24 hours for this. You really want it to fully set. Otherwise, when you go to take it out of the mold, you might end up pulling the stick. It might seem like it's frozen solid, but if it's not fully frozen, you might just pull the stick directly out of the popsicle and the rest is in here. So then you just have to resort to eating out of here with a spoon, which works too. But if you're wanting the ease of eating it on a popsicle and not having to use a spoon, well, you know, you want it frozen solid. So 24 hours I find to be the best time. And then once it's frozen, you're ready to consume it, just kind of slightly warm your containers up in your hand. I'm assuming the stainless steel would work just as well. You just kind of keep moving it and then try it until you're able to easily slip it out of there. I'm going to finish up shooting this video right now. So what I'll be doing is adding some photos here of what these look like when they're all done, and I'll probably be doing an update down the road, maybe in a this and that, or if I can, I'll try to add it here, maybe put some text just letting you know how well these seem to be working, so you can decide whether or not it's worth it to buy that. Again, if you're wanting to get away from plastic, stainless steel is the way to go when it comes to this. But the Zoku ones are still a very good brand to use. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to check out those different recipes, including the video I did on the heavy cream powder and how I use it. All right, well, thanks for watching. Take care, and God bless.